Hi, I'm Erin from the Witch of Saturn here with two of Mom's Deck Connectors Club with Jay of Iridescent Tarot and our very special guest, Lily of Lily Tarot and Art.
Hi.
So nice to have you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here to talk about one of my favorite decks.
Listen, I have heard you wax poetic about this deck on your channel. So when you showed interest in joining us today, I was like, hell yeah.
My this is definitely like my top three, my ride or die. I would never want to be anywhere without this deck. I just love it so, so much. So I'm so happy you guys enjoyed it too.
Yay.
And Lily, what edition do you have?
Well, she she wants to know because she's got a whole diatribe about the first edition versus second edition, and I don't think that we can really relax in this chat until you go through your whole spiel. So why don't you just
Okay. All right. So I'm a professional astrologer and I bought Lilifer Tarot mainly because I was very intrigued by the combination of Lilith and Lucifer. And then I don't think I knew before I got the deck, but when I got the deck and saw that there were astrological associations, I was very excited. Now, I initially was like this deck has really sat on my shelf because when I first took it out, I wasn't crazy about the card stock. It has
Mm.
grown on me, but it was one that I was like, what is this? Because it feels very chalky and thin to me, which is great, a great shuffle. But like, there's something about it that isn't, it's just like a chalkiness thing to me, where it kind of like there's a little bit of a sensory rub for me. So I hadn't used it a whole lot. And if I did, I had kind of done like a card of the day thing. And I'm saying this because it wasn't until like Jay got her deck and we started talking about it more in depth and planning for this Deck Connectors Club episode that I took the time to really look at the astrological associations. And when I did, it was like somebody scrambled my brain because I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. And it bothered me, like things like that, things that I am really into, that when something comes up that doesn't make sense to me about it, like this is basically how I learned astrology to begin with, because I was like, this is really fascinating. And then somebody would say something that I'm like, what are they even talking about? Because astrology is very confusing when you're first starting to learn it. And then I would go on this rabbit hole to like completely understand it before I could move on. And so this is one of those things where I was like, what is happening here with the astrology in this deck? It is driving me nuts. I can't make any sense of it, mainly with the quartz. So here's the thing is that there are two minors in this deck that there's typos in them.
Mm.
I can say that with certainty at this point. At first I was like, are they typos? Or is there another reason that the creator did this? But they are Two of Wands and Two of Pentacles. So Two
Ooh.
of Wands is the traditional Decan association is Mars and Aries. And so on this card, the symbol is for Sagittarius and Aries, which I'm like, okay, Mars and Sagittarius, those symbols look very, very similar. And so, like, is this maybe there's a typo? And then I found another one, which is Two of Pentacles, which is supposed to be Jupiter in Capricorn. And this is Saturn and Capricorn, which is, Saturn rules Capricorn. But in the decanic associations, this is wrong. And this is not the first time that I found an astrological typo in somebody's deck. Like, I found it in the original Redux by Jamie Sawyer, and she's one of my best friends. And so I was like, Jamie, like, I think this like, you gotta look at this. And she was like, oh my God, and fixed it like immediately. It happens when
Right.
you're creating decks and you're using so many symbols, especially if you are like a tarot person first, right? So I'm like, okay, there's two typos, but it's the quartz that I'm like, I'm missing something here. I must be missing something. This doesn't follow any kind of association that I am familiar with. And typically, the I don't personally even like astrological associations with the quartz. I think it kind of like layers something on that doesn't really fit. I think it kind of muddles things and isn't as helpful as people think it is. But there are traditional, like the Golden Dawn did assign them, right? Like did kind of come up with this structure system. And it kind of varies. But universally, we could say that in most systems, everybody kind of goes by like the pages are the earth element, and so it becomes like earth of air for page of swords, right? It's earth of fire, earth of air, earth of water, earth of earth. Those are the page associations. And then from there, everybody kind of agrees that the queens are cardinal signs, that it's Capricorn for Queen of Pentacles, Cancer for Queen of Cups, and so on. There's systems that then flip flop knights and kings, where in some systems you'll see the knights be like fixed signs and fire, or sometimes they're mutable. And so, and air, right? And then in other systems, it's like the opposite. But most of the time, those are kind of the systems. And I think that people would agree that they've seen kind of both of those. And so that makes sense. This deck does not follow any of that. So I literally wrote out like a whole, like what is happening with the quartz. I wrote notes about every single one of them to be like, all right, for example, let's take the knights. So the Knight of Wands in this deck is Leo, which is a fixed fire sign, and the Sun, which is the ruling planet of Leo. Okay. The Knight of Swords is Mercury and Libra. So it's a cardinal sign of Libra. It is air, but Mercury has nothing to do with Libra. It doesn't rule it. It makes it, there's no like rhyme or reason. And this goes on and on. Like I could go through the whole deck, but I won't. I'm going to try to rein myself in. So I make a list of this and I email the creator and I'm like, can you please help me to understand like what system is this working off of? Like I'm pretty sure that these two minor cards are typos in the deck that just got printed wrong. But like the quartz, I truly don't understand. Is there something that I'm missing? It's an impediment for me to work with the deck because now every time I pull one of these cards, that's me right there. That's me. I'm like, what is going on over here and over there and why? And she wrote me back this very nice, kind email where basically the answer was that a lot of the choices in Lilifer and the symbols are intuited. And to, use your intuition first and connect with the artwork and the flow. And I'm like, okay, I can appreciate that. Like, thank you I will try. But I have this major hang up when it comes to a system, a language of something like astrology that has been around since, the beginning of time.
Yeah.
That is intuited. There's a lot of like astrologers out there who will say, I give intuitive readings. And I think it's bullshit because astrology is not intuitive. There is a certain, you can use your intuition with everything, but it's a science, it's a system, it's a structure. There are techniques and associations that have been tested, proven, studied. It's like saying that, here's the equivalent. It would be like if I created a tarot deck and I'm like, well, I intuited that the death card should come at the end of the majors because it doesn't make sense to be in 13. My intuition tells me that it should be in a different order. And if you picked up that deck, you would be like, what the fuck is this? Right? Because like there is a structure and a system. And we also have to understand that symbols carry weight, right? Like if you're intuiting, like I'm just going to go very extreme and be like a Nazi symbol. Like people have an association with that. It has a meaning. You have to be conscious of the meaning of things if you're going to be using symbols. That's just how I feel about it. Okay. So then I decide, I'm like, maybe there's just too many symbols in this version of the deck, right? Because there's symbols in the art and then there's the gold symbols in the corner. And like every time I read with it, my eye gets pulled to the symbols. So I'm like, maybe I just need the first version. Just the first version I've heard that it has less stuff on it, right? Like in right there, Jay. Like it says 7 in the bottom and 7 in the art. Like there's just 7, 7. Like it's a like the creator added those into this gold edition because people complained that it was hard to read with the first edition because not all of the numerals that were chosen look like our modern day numbers.
Ancient Arabic numerals as they first appeared in Europe in 976 AD. So the numbers that were on the cards sometimes didn't look like the numbers that you could
Yeah.
recognize. So the fix for that was to add in the bottom corner the English number.
Now, so I sit down and I'm like, well, let me watch a walkthrough of the first edition and see if maybe that will be less distracting to me. Maybe the errors, what I consider to be the astrological correspondence errors, won't be so in my face. And wouldn't you know that the first edition is right? It is, it follows the exact system that I started talking about in the beginning, where all of the pages are earth of their element, where all of the knights are fixed signs and have the correct astrological association and ruling planet, that the queens are all cardinal. There is one card, Queen of Swords, that's wrong. Every other court where she, for some reason, that's shown as Cancer, which is Queen of Cups. All of the kings are mutable. The whole freaking deck is correct astrologically. Even these two cards, correct. So I am now convinced that the gold edition is where I'm like, I was texting Jay, like, it's like 10 at night. I'm like, you're never gonna believe this. Like, I was like, my head was just, I couldn't get over it. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me that the first edition is right. And all of this is a typo. Like it kind of blows my mind because to me now there are 18 cards in this deck that are have misprints on them because the astrological system that was used in the first edition, and I will say that the creator did mention to me, she was like, look, I made this deck 5 years ago. Like I'm really not sure where I pulled my work from, but I do intuit symbols often. But no, it was not an intuitive choice. There was a system that was used for the courts, and the translation to this gold edition, where numbers got added and the symbols in the art got pulled out and put back in gold. Like in the first edition on this card, the symbols for what's this? 10 of Wands. So it is Saturn in Sagittarius. They're on the horns. So like the symbols are in the artwork in different places in the first edition. So whenever that got pulled out and put back in, especially on the courts, it just got all messed up. And let me tell you, this makes me feel so much better. This is kind of one of those things that was bothering me so deeply that I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Like now, oh, that makes sense to me. Like, okay, it was right in the first edition, and now it just got like misconstrued. I do wish that that was something that was cared enough about to be fixed. And I did re-email and have not heard back. And that's kind of disappointing to me because it's been over a week and I'm like, you should care about this. This is important, especially if someone is trying to learn astrology from this deck. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, and my only pushback on that is she never makes any claims that you should learn astrology through her deck. And like in the very beginning, she does say that this is an intuitive deck, like on the very first page, that we're supposed to channel our lived experiences, as well as, be open to our intuition. So it's so funny. I love hearing your
I'm like,
perspective
no,
because
I have such a hard line on that when it
it
comes
is
to astrology, no,
right
no,
because
you
because
can't
it's a
intuit that.
system. Right. It's a language that you've had, and you're like, this is like the rules of the language. These are like the grammar,
Yes.
and this is not following the rules. And
Yes.
it's just so I find it so fascinating how wildly different our experiences are, because I love that she breaks the rules.
But you can't break the rules with something like that. You can't
Well,
spell a bunch of words in your guidebook and then be like, well, you're just supposed to intuit what the word mean, like your own expression of the word. Like, no, no. Especially, I'm not saying that you, as a deck creator, you're trying to teach someone astrology through your deck, but you do have to take on the responsibility that the system that you are putting out there, it is one that at the very least reflects your original work. Like
right. That part, right. I'm not sure why
it
different
is
editions were
completely different.
changed.
So like that kind of takes everything that's written in the guidebook and everything that you just said, which I do, I do understand your point, but it does kind of make it moot because there was a system used in the first
Yeah,
edition,
I don't know
you
why. I don't
know?
know why it was changed.
So
Especially if it's like, if it's not broke, then why fix it, right?
I think it was an error. I don't think that it was a conscious choice to, I
Mhm.
think that maybe whoever formatted it or I don't know. I have no idea the background of that, but I am 99.9% certain that that was just a printing error in you know, sh the transition to shift from that original version to this gold edition because there's no reason why you would make these. Otherwise, she would have told me, oh, in the first edition, this is the system I used. But then I made these changes in the second edition because I intuited them. Like it wasn't that I just think it's a printing error. I just think, and I'm better with that than the other answer, honestly. I just think that people should know that going in. And if you're someone who values and wants to, learn the astrology and the
Right.
astrological associations, then you should get the first edition, is like the point of this. Because I've even heard from other people like through Instagram being like, yeah, I can't even use this deck because the astrology makes me like if you know the astrology and you look at that when you're reading with a deck that uses the significations, like this will drive you nuts. It will jump out like a sore thumb or whatever the right word is. So that's like my whole diatribe. But I have to say that like that huge, I'm so glad that I figured it out. I really felt like I solved the puzzle or something with it because now I'm like, okay, now I know it's just like these are typos, like it makes me feel better that at least in the first version of this deck, like it follows the system very clearly. It's wild though. It's wild. It's good. I love
Is she
it.
done yet? Can I take my headphones
Yes,
out?
sorry. You can wake up now.
I told her because listen, Lily, you've been spared. She's been texting me about this shit for like weeks now. And I'm like, I literally do not give two shits about astrology. Like I don't know
Yeah.
any of it. I don't care about any of it like on my cards. And so she's been like on this like a dog with a bone. I'm
Which is
like,
good because if you did, you would be going nuts with this deck right now.
I
You
told her,
would.
I'm like, when you talk about this in our episode, like I'll be present physically, but I'm not gonna be mentally
You're
there.
gonna be mentally there.
Well, I do think that like most people are going to be like that. And like, please, by all means, they could fast forward through that part. It's not your thing. But there is a niche of people out there who's going to
Yeah.
know exactly everything that I'm talking about and who's going to be like very interested to, know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
discrepancy, that's
I
like
I totally agree. And also I agree with your
there's
end.
people out there.
You're not the only one. I agree. If there is truly typos, misprints on the deck, that is something that I would hope that the creator would want to address with another, the next printing or
Yeah.
whatever, because
Like I said, we'll
I
move forward.
really, really, I love this creator's work. I love this tarot deck. I love her oracle deck. I love the deck that she's working on now that she will be releasing soon.
Same. I've been like, I want to love this. Like, I love the artwork. I love Reclaim. I can't wait for that new Oracle. Like, the reason I looked into this so hard is because I did not want to dislike this deck.
I mean, I think it's just interesting because I use the deck in a totally different way, I think, than you do because of your astrology background. Like, I don't see it as an astrology plus a tarot deck. I see it as a tarot deck with maybe an astrology flair or like an astrology hint. I when I give readings to people, I usually don't even mention the astrological signs unless they recognize themselves or like they identify parts of their sign, or like I was giving a reading to a Leo and the cards that I pulled had like the Leo signs on there and it made sense to them. And so sometimes I think in a reading when we're wanting to be a little bit more intuitive, when we're wanting to be a little bit more loose, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to kind of step away from what we know and try to think about archetypes as a broader paintbrush because technically archetypes, which is what tarot represents, technically they exist in every way, in every form of every astrological sign, right? There's different aspects or different perspectives. But when you're in a reading and people are being connected to the cards, there's always these different paths that like I can't control. And so sometimes I like the fact that she adds these. Yes, it's not wrote per the book or it doesn't follow a certain system, but I didn't buy this deck for astrology. I bought it for tarot. And I use it like a tarot deck and I only pay attention to the astrology if it happens to be relevant to the reading, if for some reason someone picks up on it. And I think that's how I enjoy it. But again, I'm not, I don't have your experience with astrology. I'm not like that deep into the meanings or the fixations of the houses. So maybe that's also why I have a different experience.
I think that this is, well, I agree with you that this is a, tarot deck first. And like when I go to read with it, that's how I want to use it too. But if I'm pulled to the symbols and they are not following the system that they're supposed to,
Right.
which is what's happening in this deck,
Jarring.
it
Right.
is, I can't get past, it's a roadblock
Right.
for me
Yeah.
because it's wrong.
Right. It's
You
like
know?
watching a fish fly a helicopter. Like it doesn't make sense. You're like, wait.
Doesn't make sense. So I do think that like when I do think that if creators are making the choice to sprinkle in the astrology and include it in the tarot and overlay these two separate systems onto each other in that, way that, and listen, a lot of astrologers do not like the Golden Dawn associations that have been laid onto tarot. Like
That's
I
so
have a friend,
interesting.
Richard,
Yeah.
who's a professional astrologer, he's a better astrologer than I am. And he's like, I can't stand it. I think all of the majors are wrong. The decans he's okay with. It's like it's a point of contention just in general. It's confusing enough just as it is. Like what the
Right.
Golden Dawn did is confusing enough that like if you're going to put it in there, follow the overlay. You know what I mean? Or know it well enough to be able to show your work. You know,
Yeah.
because
Right.
there are tarot decks out there that don't follow this astrological system. There's quite a few, and I'm like always kind of curious about them, but I don't buy them because I'm like I just don't want to have to like do those mental gymnastics at this point right now to like learn a whole new system. But like there should be a system is my point. And for this, it just got screwed up from the first edition to the second edition. And so it's just like it is such a great deck and the artwork is so beautiful that I just hope that someday it gets fixed so that it's not, you know, this.
Or just ignore the astrology altogether. Right.
But you can't, if you're a professional, if you're an astrologer or you're really
Yeah.
into astrology, you
Yeah.
can't. You can't
Yeah.
because your mind just you see the symbol and it's like
You're trying to, yeah. No,
it plugs right
that
into
makes
your brain.
sense.
It's impossible. It's like if you don't use astrology in your readings or you just know a little bit about it, like you're saying, like, oh, I'm only if certain people identify
Yeah,
with
if
it more. Yeah,
someone,
it's
right,
easy to ignore then. But if you're like an astrologer, you're like,
right.
no, you can't ignore, you don't ignore it in your deck. It's just a part of how you read it. So I don't know. It would be like if the elements were wrong, like there's just things that it would.
Yeah, there's a couple of decks out there that switch. I think
Hmm.
Nigel Jackson Tarot is one of them. It has like the wands as the air suit, I think.
Yeah.
And I just like, as much as I love the artwork on that deck and I've always wanted to try it, I just know in my brain that would fry a couple of brain cells.
Yes, it's the same thing. It's like if you are someone who uses elemental associations and you have a set system in your brain of how you read and understand the cards through that lens, then if a creator changes that, it can be an impediment
Right.
to reading with the deck.
So Lily, tell us about your connection because you're saying it's top three. And I'll
Yes.
just throw in for me, like this was an immediate connection. I opened this deck. I was like, yes, this is the deck for me. I love it right out of the box. But you've had a longer relationship with it. So I really want to hear how it got to be top three for you.
Well, so I was introduced to this artist because she made a post about this book that she was reading called The Emotional Entrepreneur. And if you follow her on Instagram, she's like very open about her journey, about her emotions and the way that she learns and how to be very intuitive with her artwork. And this artwork is very much a style that I admire because as an artist, I struggle to paint like this. Like when you look at this artwork, you might think that it's like simple, but that's not true at all. Like,
Because your artwork is very like you're so good that I
oh,
feel like it would be hard for you to have like a more childlike. Is that what you're kind of getting
yeah.
at?
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm not like that good, but for her, the way that she paints, being very intuitive,
Mm.
and then starting at a blank canvas, and you can tell she's just like creating it in the moment, and all the little imperfections in her artwork, she is not getting deterred by that. She's not getting hung up on it. She's still creating the flow and the emotion, and that ability to just flow with the artwork and not be distracted by how other people are going to judge it, or oh no, I messed up this finger or this hand, or this hand has four fingers, this hand has three. Like the fact that she's just able to get into a state of flow to create is something that I really admire. And she had talked about this book she was reading called The Emotional Entrepreneur, which the whole premise of the book is about how to release yourself from fear and shame and control issues and the identities that we put around things. And once we kind of develop emotional literacy within ourselves, we're able to manage these negative emotions that block our creativity, they block our intuition. And when we are in this state of emotional freedom, we can create, we can think outside the box, we can tap into our intuition, we can pull from our live experiences. And so I do love that Aaron made this point about how it doesn't follow the system, because in a lot of ways it's very much on brand for this creator. Because her whole thing is, what if I didn't have to follow a system? What if I did create without judgment? What if I, just like an intuitive child? Um, but again, her artwork, it looks it looks simplistic, but it's very much not. The ability to create a story with these very basic shapes and colors and figures and symbols, I find very like admirable. I absolutely love it. And I really want to be able to create art like this, more emotive like feelings.
Mm.
So that's kind of
Mhm.
how I connected with the art. And for me, art is such a huge part of a tarot deck because it creates a reaction in me, it inspires me. So as I'm doing the reading, I like to get into that flow state and feel whatever messages or inspiration comes through. And I feel like for her artwork and the fact that she's so courageous enough to have those, take off the shackles of judgment or doubt or, um, criticism, to me is inspiring. So that when I give a tarot reading, I myself step into that energy of, what if I just gave a reading without judging myself? What if I just like felt into this uninhibited childlike energy of creativity and rules are for rules and this and that, and make it up as I go, not in a way that is inauthentic, but in a way that is more like tapping to whatever feeling that you need to hear in the moment that you're giving a reading. So that's why I like this deck. Yes, the artwork is phenomenal, but it's not just the artwork, it's the way that the artwork makes me feel, coupled with the things that I've learned in the books that I've read and the journey that I've been on because of this artist. And that's how I would describe it.
Interesting. So, what are your, because it's reminding me very much of the way that you talk about Blue Earth Tarot too. And that is a deck that I think I might have known about it before your channel, but really, when you posted a video on it a while back, I was like, oh, I think I need this deck. But what are your other two and your top three, just out of curiosity?
My other one is the Somnia Tarot, which I have here, which this one's a really fantastic deck. It is like a photography deck. And actually the first time I opened it up out of the box, I did not like it at all. I was like, why do these people have sheets over their heads?
Yeah, that's a hell no for me, that deck.
I was like, this is creepy. I don't even know if these people
Yeah.
like can breathe.
Erin loves that deck. I wouldn't even bring that into my house. It's too scary.
Well, yeah, so this was like the first like kind of like big ticket like expensive deck that I purchased, and I kind of like purchased it without looking. And then I got it and I was like, "Oh my God, this is really creepy." But then I forced myself to use it because I had spent so much money on it. Um, and then the more I used it, the more that I absolutely started to love it. And very similar, I mean, Lilifer Tarot was like love at first sight. The moment I opened it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have so much fun with this deck because it just puts me into a headspace of, you know, emotional freedom, right? Whereas with the Somnia Tarot, I realized I had to work through my feelings of discomfort and fear. There are definitely cards that trigger fear reactions in me. Like I think for a lot of people, like the Death, the Tower, Three of Swords, right? There are these things that are dark. And when I used the Somnia Tarot more, it's not that these dark aspects of life go away, but rather we expand our language to understand them and relate to them with art. And the more I used the deck, the less it looked intimidating and scary, and more like um the lightness and the darkness of life are all parts of the language that we use. And if there's something that is pulling me away, maybe that's something that I need to learn more um,
hmm
about. So that's why I love the Somnia Tarot. But yeah, I agree with you. When I first saw the sheets on people's heads, I was like, what?
I saw the sheets.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the sheets and I was like, I love that. I want that
No.
deck. Yeah.
And then the other tarot deck I have that's like my ride or die, I absolutely love, is the Tarot of Mystical Moments.
Ooh,
Have you
interesting.
guys?
I didn't know that.
This is like a mass market deck, but I just love, again, the artwork. It's all surreal. She does something a little bit different with the courts. She has both masculine and feminine court cards. So she has got more cards here than normal, but just the surreal artwork, I love it. I love it. She like there's so many, and in terms of a storytelling tool, um, just everything about this deck is just so fun. I can read with it for years and years and years. I never get the same reading twice, even if I pull like the similar card. It's a really great deck. I don't know if you guys have this one in your
No.
collection, but
I
those
flipped
so those are
through
my
it in
top
a
three.
I
Hmm.
flipped through it in a store and I was like, nah, not for me. Erin?
No, I don't have that one. I don't know if I've even ever seen it.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? It's like pretty widely loved on tarotube, I feel like.
the artwork's fantastic. The cardstock leaves a lot to be desired. You probably are not going to like this cardstock.
You've heard us complain about a lot of cardstock, I
Yeah,
think.
you're not going to like it. Have low expectations for the cardstock, but high
Yeah,
expectations for the artwork. So,
always.
Yeah.
So the first day I paired with this mass market deck, the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle. And I love the way that it's illustrated by Tiana Lukovic, who did some of the Seasons of the Witch.
oh,
And
beautiful.
Love that.
it looks so good
Oh,
with
wow.
Lilifer.
When I saw your
Like,
picture on Instagram, I felt like they could have been almost done by the same artist. Like they're not quite, but
yeah.
they were close enough that I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Oh, wait, like look at this.
That's amazing. That
They
pairs really
pair
well.
Yep.
Yeah.
so good together and they read really great together. So I just kind of feel like, I don't know, like they're married or something. It's just,
It I already wanted that deck, but I feel like seeing them together made me really solidified that for me.
yeah, I really like this deck a lot. And then, so that was kind of like by this point, I think I had gotten over, I had made the breakthrough with Lilifer. And then I decided that I was gonna like go lean full into, I was gonna give it like a really good shot, right? And I paired it with Poesis because I love Poesis. I
I
love
love
the way
that
it
deck.
pairs. And so visually, like not the best. Also not the
Yeah.
worst. Like, I don't know. I don't really care if something doesn't, we've talked about this. Like, I don't care if something doesn't visually go great with Poesis because I just think it does its job so well that I just wanted to have like a really good reading experience with Lilifer after being like, in the beginning, being like, I don't even know if I can use this deck at
Oh,
all, you know? So that for me was like a nice place to get to with it. So those were the two that I chose.
a
Y-
poetry
Yeah.
book for the
Yeah.
poesis. I think that that is like essential. If people are going to buy the deck, then they need to get the poetry book with it. Because
Yeah.
I've heard some people say that they didn't like it, but if you don't have the book with it, it's really it
I
can be
got
difficult to read.
I got the deck before I had the book and immediate connection with this deck. Loved it as a clarifier, as an oracle. I think that the book helps, but I don't think it's for me, it was not necessary. I could have just kept on, like I just
Perfect.
something about it. To me, it reminds me of Reclaim. It
Hmm.
reminds me of if Reclaim was just an oracle without the emotional content that it gives, it would be Poesis to me. They're like just
They're
different.
yeah, they're cousins.
Yeah.
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 I think the same goes with like Reclaim color
Reclaim.
wise in Lilifer. This is not my vibe, but Reclaim is the same as Poesis where it doesn't really matter because the readings are good. So I don't really
Yeah.
like it's neither here nor there. Um, I meant to say that I agree with Lily on the Poesis book because the whole concept of it being Poesis, like the poetic aspect of the deck, does not exist unless you have the book. Like I don't why if you don't have the poetry, why even call that deck Poesis?
It's a beautiful deck. Absolutely beautiful deck. That and the Reclaim I really enjoyed. I didn't think I would enjoy Reclaim as much. Because I was like, oh, a deck full of feelings, but I love it now. I adore it.
Did your feelings about Reclaim change because of this week, or you're just saying in general that was your experience with the deck?
Yeah, no, in general, like, and I've been using Reclaim like when I give general readings as a way to like dive into what feelings do I need to process or what feelings does my client need to process or because sometimes we have feelings and we need to put a name to them or a context to how a situation makes us feel. And I feel like the Reclaim Oracle does a really good job at that,
Yeah.
adding layer perspective of what are my feelings here in this dynamic. That I really needed a deck like that. I'm so glad that I have it.
Yeah. The Reclaim is the whole reason why I was interested in Lilifer in the first place because of how deeply I love Reclaim. I was like, I need more from this artist. Like, if it weren't for Reclaim, I probably would have never given Lilifer a shot, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah. It's amazing to find. I absolutely love finding these unique indie artists, that have just kind of made their own worlds in tarot. I feel like they're hidden gems. And
Hmm.
I mean, mass market decks are fantastic too, but they have to appeal to the masses. They've got to they have a marketability about them.
Hmm.
And when I go to these kind of indie creators, in a lot of ways, they can do more experimental stuff like the Reclaim Oracle or the Lilifer Tarot. They can kind of march to the beat of their own drum, which I like. Same with the Blue Earth Tarot. Like, I don't think that the Blue Earth Tarot would do well as like a mass market deck because it's so minimalist in its artwork, and because you have to kind of create the meaning or the reaction to the deck. I mean, Lilifer is very good at telling stories, but there's something really fun about finding decks that go off the beaten path, that are not the marketable molds, so to speak.
Yes, I think we're all here for that exact reason. Yes, I totally relate.
It's that freedom, it's that like uninhibited just expression of color that I
Yeah.
absolutely love. And that's how I feel when I look at the Lilith Tarot. It's just this uninhibited expression. That's what I love.
So my first one was Reclaim. I showed that quickly. And then here I have the Inner Ecology Oracle and the Common Oracle, which we lovingly call Dogbone. So I just thought that these were a nice match because the Inner Ecology has a somewhat limited color palette. It's not exactly the same as Lilifer, but something about it they can kind of draw from each other. And I thought that it looked nice together and it worked nice together. I was like a big fan of this
It's
combo.
beautiful. It's really beautiful. I like
Yeah.
how you have threshold, change, door. Like, that's a beautiful way to kind of like walk through the imagery. So explain, could you like talk about the spread that you use?
You want the inner working. So this was like over a full week ago. So let's pick my brain really deep. So what I did was, let's see, I pulled these first and I kind of set them as spread position. So asking myself, like, what am I on the threshold of? What needs to change in order to move forward? And I don't, honestly, I don't remember exactly what I said. Probably something like, where does this door lead to? And what I wrote down um, for this, I have the Knight of Wands with Storm. The Inner
Ooh.
Ecology Guidebook is so, so good. It like really, it's one of those guidebooks that you're like, oh, this is worth its weight when you're reading it. But all I wrote was one little, like half a line for these. On the threshold of change, hard won success. So basically, that's kind of that's how I brought those together. Change, I wrote stop walking on eggshells and blending in to not make waves because I felt like this it's an uncommon way to like read the Seven of Swords, but like it really looks like a figure that's like walking on
Walking.
eggshells.
Yeah.
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 uh, to kind of avoid this fire, you're avoiding the snake, you're like trying to balance and walk on eggshells. And this
Yeah.
camouflage being like, you're just trying to like,
Blend in.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That
And
is
then
so
the
cool.
door.
Hmm.
I had the Four of Wands with time. And so you'll inevitably have success with what you choose, but it can take time. Open the door and walk through.
Right. Oh, what a beautiful reading. I love how they pair together. And
Yeah.
I love how the oracle enhances the reading of the tarot. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
great pair. Yeah.
Thank
Cool that
you.
you
Yeah, I
got
was very happy with this.
it's cool you got all wands in that. And they just look so good together. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
look great.
I
It's
I
beautiful.
think it's interesting the color palette that Lilifer that she chose for this because yeah, there's a lot of reds, but all three of the other suits, so for the cups, the swords, and the pentacles, they're like different shades of blue. So you have like this bright blue, like this I don't know what you would call that, but like it's a very blue for the
Hmm.
swords. And the pentacles are kind of a greeny blue.
Hmm.
And then
It's
what
like
else do
gray
we have
blue
here? The
for
cups. Yeah.
like gray, blue,
It
blue, blue, green, blue.
Yes, yeah. It's very strange to me that she would pick three different blues in the red. But I like it.
This is like the only card in the deck. I was chatting with
Yes.
someone about this on Instagram that like really deviates from the color palette. And I do wish that there was more of this in it. Like this looks so good.
I love that card and I love the color of that card. Yeah, when it comes out in a reading, you're like, it draws your eye because it's the only green one that exists.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then for my last day, the meditative spread, I kind of went rogue on this one too. So I started a new practice this year, well, for the upcoming year, the Kantachi Oracle. And so it starts on the winter solstice. So the day that I was due
I
to do the final reading, it was like my day that I was supposed to read this. So I pulled this as my meditative reading because the guidebook on this is very, very involved. It's like
yeah.
4 pages per card. So I read that and then I created a spread based on this card. I said, what needs letting go? I got the Wheel of Fortune. What needs support? I got the King of Swords. And then what is the void in between? And I got Speak from these blue bones.
Oh
So yeah.
wow. For the winter solstice, that's a really interesting reading, especially because of, the cycles and the change that the transition between the dark winter going back towards the sun.
Yes.
That's a very poetic, very beautiful spread, actually.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It was really cool.
I got Gaia from this artist called Andrea Giuffre.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
I have been a fan of her artwork for a really long time, and when she came out with an Oracle deck, I like missed the first printing because it got sold out, and so I was waiting for her to do another printing. And it's just absolutely beautiful. She does like goddesses in landscapes, and it's the similar medium as the Lilifer Tarot, where it's like the watercolors.
Yeah.
And her figures are not um, like hard concrete. They're very like fluid. They blend with the landscape. They're also very illustrative in the sense that they tell a story, a relationship to the landscape. And
Yes.
so when I was pairing it with the Lilifer Tarot, I would kind of see a lot of connections like for example glacier and the night. It to me it felt like the water would be flowing from one image to the next, and like as the elements, I guess, because there's a lot of elemental focus in the little for tarot. That's kind of how I was able to bridge and make a connection between these two decks. Um, but they like aesthetically, they look beautiful together. I mean, two very talented artists. Of course, they would make something beautiful together. But in terms of reading, I really enjoyed that because this Gaia Oracle on its own, you only really need to pull one card, and
Yep.
just to sit with it, it's like a one card kind of Oracle deck, and then to pair it with tarot gave some really, really beautiful readings, very like contemplative and meditative about like our place in the world and our relationship to the world and the environment around us. So
I,
that was like my favorite. Have you guys seen this deck? The Gaia.
yeah, I I had that deck. I had the first edition and the cardstock was really not great. So I rehomed it and I was hoping to buy the second edition, but I haven't committed to it yet. Now that I'm seeing it with Lilith, I'm like, oh, maybe I do need that back.
It's hard. The cardstock tarot is such a tactile. It's such a tactile experience that if you don't enjoy the artwork, or sorry, if you don't enjoy the cards, or if they're the wrong size, it can be really hard to get into that headspace to do a reading. Um, yeah,
Yeah, for
cardstock
sure.
and
For
the
sure.
the physical aspect of it is really hard, and that kind of like leads me to the next deck that I used. I absolutely hate the cardstock and I hate the size. But I use this deck because I love the artwork, and that is the archetypes.
Ooh, yes, I hate that cardstock too.
Yeah, it's not good. And the roundness, it's annoying.
It is so
Yeah.
annoying. I can barely hold it in my hands. It's like
Yeah.
a pain in the ass to shuffle. See, I just like dropped half my deck. Um, and I cannot be alone in this. I get that it's like cool to have a circular deck, but it's like cool for all of 10 minutes. I want it to be
Yep.
a tool that like reads well. Um, but I do
Yep.
use it because the guidebook I find is really great. I love contemplating archetypes and the artwork I do enjoy. And I did like how this artwork paired with the Lilifer Tarot. Because it was very similar, like impressions and bursts of color that I really liked. But
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of the circle shape. I can get past it. Do you guys have this oracle?
I feel like
yeah.
I don't pull it that often because of that
No.
reason.
It's like very specific. It has a niche, the archetype deck for me, where I'm not going to reach for it all the time, only when I'm looking to do like that very specific type of work. But I do think they look great together.
Yeah, it's and that's one of my um New Year's resolutions that I've been forcing myself to like try to use decks that I don't normally pull for, whatever reason. Try to push through my discomfort or the cardstock or whatever to just, I really want to give everything in my collection like a fair try.
Shot.
Yeah. Because it is really easy to just focus on my favorites.
And there's nothing wrong with that too. Like if you have your tried and trues, like I don't know, I keep coming back to that where it's why am I trying to force it through sometimes? Like sometimes I just want to use my good old reliables. And if I do keep reaching for the same ones over and over again, like I'm coming around to like being really okay with that. And I feel like Lilifer is one of those for me now where it's an easy reach. Like I can see myself pulling it because unlike Erin, I love this card stock. Like I like that chalky feel. It's thin, but it's super flexible. And I like
Yeah.
the shuffle. The
It's
size is
easy to
slightly
shuffle.
small. Yeah. Like I love the shuffle on this deck. So I don't know. This
I do
one,
like the size.
yeah,
Yeah.
slightly shorter than normal tarot size. The
Right.
gold, the little gold glitz is enough. Like, sure, a nice gold edge would have been great, but I'm okay with it just being the gloss, spot gloss.
But to be fair to Erin, I'm not an astrology expert though. My knowledge of astrology is very superficial. So that probably plays a huge role in my ability to enjoy the deck. I
Yeah.
see it as like astrology flair. And I can easily look past the symbols and ignore it and just focus on it as a tarot. Yeah.
Well, I've decided that I want to get the first edition
Oh,
because,
good idea.
I mean, if that solves, we'll have to see. I'm really excited. I hope I can get the first edition and then compare the two side by side just for
Yes.
my own experiment. And then see what that card stock is like. Because maybe I know it's thicker, so I probably won't like riffle as good as this one does. But it might be the fix for me is to just get that edition, have the astrology not be an impediment in that one because it's not. It's literally one card. Like, all right, that's not bad. One out
Yeah.
of 8 or really 80 for this deck. So that's my goal moving forward. I need to get my hands on that first edition. When I emailed the creator, I was even like, do you happen to have any old first editions laying around that I might be able to purchase from
Could
you?
you
Now
like
it's
could you like take some paint and like just
It's so like, oh, yeah, it's just, I'm better with it now that I know. But when I didn't know, I was just like I just wanted to take the cards and just like throw them. Like, what the fuck is this?
Peel her off the walls.
Like, what are you kidding me with this? What's going on here?
Me and Lily for sure keeping, like certain.
100%.
And then for Erin, you're saying if you can find the first edition, do the comparison. Second might go. First, you see how your relationship goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I could. I love the artwork on this.
Yeah.
I like I said, if all of a sudden tomorrow it was like, we're reprinting Lilifer in this edition and changing, putting the astrology back to the way that it was in the first deck, I'd be all over that in a
Yeah.
heartbeat, It's just for me, it's too big of a, like if it was just the two minors, like, all right, I know what they are. Like I can overlook that. But the fact that it's the entire court system, I hope someone out there is as excited as I am to know that about the decks because
I wish you could see my face right now. It's very
you don't care.
skeptical. No.
You don't care. No, there's people out there, I'm telling you. There are.
Comment below if you're one
Comment
of
below
them.
if you are one of these people.
There's a lid for every pot. I'm sure there is. Yeah, and when it comes to the Lilifer Tarot, did you notice like a different language or a different style of reading that you would get with Lilifer compared to maybe a different deck? Did you notice like were there any things that struck you as really unique and different?
Well, I think that every deck has its own, unique style of communication, and that's why, its own unique spin on the card interpretations that come through the artwork and the creator's intention, and the overall energy of the deck. And I think that's why we have so many decks, because if they were all the same, then why would you would just need one?
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's just hard to answer that specifically because I had to do so many mental gymnastics to be able to get to start with this deck. So I think I would have to, do more work with it. But I had great readings with it. I did. So I think it's a great deck. If it just could, get fixed up, I'd be all about it.
That's really important feedback too. I think more deck creators need to make sure that if they are going to add changes to astrology or to the elements or whatever, that they either explain or offer some kind of resolution. Another deck I was thinking of was the Modern Spellcasters. Have you guys seen that deck where the the swords is fire and the wands is
Mm.
air? Like they
Mhm.
switched that up.
Yeah, that's
And
what Jake was talking about earlier, that there
yeah,
are some systems that switch that. It's very much the same as, the switch between the kings and the knights in certain astrological associations of the courts. But like that kind of a thing, like I can wrap my brain around because it's still a system and there is a
right.
conscious choice to go with that elemental style. It might not be something that like I want to read with, but if you understand astrology and you look at the quartz in this gold edition, it will, I'm not even kidding you, I can say for certain, it makes zero sense. Zero. And then like to compare it to the first edition that makes perfect sense is like there's just,
Oh,
to me, I just think somebody
yeah.
didn't go through and catch it.
That's such a shame. That is such a shame. And I would have never known unless you brought it up. I
I
would
don't
have
think
just
many
been
people, I think most
perfectly
people
blissfully unaware.
no one else, no one
Oh my
cares.
gosh.
These are one of the things that I call errand problems where I'm like, no one else will care about this. And I literally cannot stop thinking about it. And I'm okay with that. But this, I
A
was
lot of
like,
a
I
lot
feel
of times I'm
vindicated.
on board. A lot of times I'm on board with the errand problems. Like I'm there with you, sister.
Yes.
But like this specific one, I'm like, no.
Well, that's just because you don't know astrology. But if you did,
Right.
trust me, you'd be on board.
For
Like
sure. For
if you
sure.
know astrology, anybody who's out there who knows astrology and knows tarot will get what I'm saying.
I feel like in the same way that Reclaim is able to communicate feeling, like even if you cover up the keyword, the emotion here, the artwork says so much. It just speaks directly to me. Like, that by looking at this, you're like, oh, why is that grasping onto me? Like, I want to get away. What is this? Like, you just know from her artwork what she's trying to communicate. And I think that carries through in the tarot, where I don't need to look at the what the card is. I can just feel what she's saying. It like pierces through everything, and I can read it that way. And it's very special when a deck can do that for me.
It is really special, and honestly, it's rare because to talk about what I was saying earlier about how a lot of deck creators feel the pressure to be marketability. They want to almost like there's a lot of pressure to copy the Rider-Waite-Smith form, and like anyone who strays outside of like a normal representation or a normal illustration of a certain tarot deck, you worry like, is the viewer going to understand what I'm saying? Or are people going to understand what I'm trying to illustrate here? I 100% agree with you that her artwork has such a unique language, and it's so clear and direct in the way that she's trying to speak. And it's so innovative and creative in the way that she speaks. That's what I just could never be without this deck because of her unique perspective and how she communicates. I can't think of any card in this deck, and that's very rare. Like every single card in this deck has a narrative. It has a language to it. She's very clear. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
very special, very rare.
Well, I think that's going to be it.
Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me. This was so lovely.
Thank you so
We
much
had,
for joining
yeah.
us.
Yeah, we had such a good time chatting with you, and we're so happy to have you on, and can't wait to post the episode and see who agrees with Erin. Yeah.
Oh, well, you
I'm
guys have a
excited to see.
wonderful evening and happy New Year soon to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
too.
Talk to you later. Signing out.
Okay. Bye.